The next speaker we have is no other than the President of the Somaiya Vidyavihar, Mr. Justice P.N. Bhagavati. It is difficult to introduce a person who has too many accomplishments and too many achievements. And Justice Bhagavati belongs to that category. The best way to introduce him would be, for me, it may appear very simplistic, to just show you his resume, which runs to nearly 5 pages. It's a job for a compare. But to highlight the successful and the rich career of Justice Bhagavati, I may just tell you that he is not only one of us, he is not only the worthy successor of the first president of our Vidyavihar, that is Justice N.H. Bhagavati, who was his father. Justice P.N. Bhagavati is a distinguished jurist of modern India since the independence of our country. He presided over the Supreme Court of India as his Chief Justice until his retirement some years ago. His contribution to human rights is meaningful and enormous. He is closely connected with a number of NGOs. He is a chairman of the South Asian Task Force on Judiciary, Vice Chairman of the El Tola, an international human rights development organization located in Tunis. He has promoted and participated numerous workshops of lawyers and judges on the subject of human rights, both organized by NGOs as well as by government bodies. He was chairman of the World Congress on Human Rights held in New Delhi in the month of December 1990. I have to cut a long story short. He also carried out several missions for the United Nations, Center for Human Rights, the Commonwealth Secretariat, and the International Commission of Jurists. His services have been utilized by several countries including Mongolia, Cambodia, Nepal, Ethiopia, and South Africa in framing their constitutions, and particularly the chapter on human rights. He has also been active in the area of women's human rights and has been responsible for a considerable amount of work in the field of human rights and development among tribals, and particularly among tribal women. Numerous documentaries have been made on him, and his work including one where he is one of 6 outstanding Indians on whose life the Indian TV has done a profile. He has been one of the most visible members of India's judiciary since independence, and his public response has been quite phenomenal. Example, where the tribal people benefited from his judgment and renamed the village, calling it Bhagavatipuram. His thought-provoking judgments on bonded and unorganized labor and child labor have resulted in various legislations and government schemes in improving their social and economic conditions. His services have been availed of by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. He has also been a member of the Permanent Court of Arbitration at The Hague for the last several years. He was also a member of the International Mediation Team, along with Henry Kissinger and Lord Carrington, between 2 groups before the elections in South Africa. He is presently a member of the Human Rights Committee under International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights of the United Nations. He is Chancellor of the Hyderabad University and also Chancellor of the Lal Bahadur Shastri Rashtriya Sanskrit Vidyapith. He has been the recipient of a number of awards. It is difficult for me to read them all. I may just mention 1 or 2. One is the award of the International Bar Association for outstanding contribution in the field of legal aid. The other one awarded Doctor of Laws by the Andhra Pradesh University, award of Bharat Gaurav, that is Pride of India, etc., etc., etc. Most of all, we are very proud to have him as the president of the Somaiya Vidyavihar. And there is no doubt that we are in for another intellectual treat following that brilliant address of Justice Krishna. May I now request Justice Bhagavati to address us.
Thank you very much. Justice Sri Krishna, Shantibai, other distinguished persons of the podium, and ladies and gentlemen. It is always a difficult task to speak coming after Justice Sri Krishna, who is a very learned and a profound speaker. Therefore, it is with a sense of diffidence that I speak before you. I have heard Justice Sri Krishna before when he delivered a convocation address at the Sanskrit University, of which I happen to be the Chancellor. Of course, I cannot speak in Sanskrit, but I do understand Sanskrit, fortunately, because that is the language which is the language of our culture. And I am of the view that every Indian must know Sanskrit, because that is the language in which our culture is to be found. It is a culture over 5,000 years old. Its origin is lost in the antiquity of the past. But when it made its debut on the stage of human history, it disclosed a high stage of evolution. And we have the Vedas, particularly the Rig Veda, which is it's very uncertain as to what is its age. Some people say it is more than 5,000 years old. I think Lokmanya Tilak, I think, said it is much older than that. And then has followed a history of wonderful literature right up to the modern times. And most of this great literature is to be found in the Sanskrit language. It is really a great pity that with the coming in of freedom, we somehow seem to have lost our love for Sanskrit. Even the government doesn't seem to attach importance to Sanskrit anymore. In my time, when I was a student in 1930s, Sanskrit was one of the three languages which the students had to take. Sanskrit, French and Persian. And many students took Sanskrit. But after a time, I am told, after quite a few years, Sanskrit is no longer taught in the schools. It is a very sad thing. And I am therefore very happy that Somaiya Vidyavihar has taken upon itself the task, the sacred task of reviving the study of Sanskrit in the younger generation. I acquired love for Sanskrit from my very early age. My father